Hello, my name is Chip Chase, and I am going to summarize an empirical study focused on a formally tested model of employee interest and participation in learning. The study was conducted by a group of researchers and published in the Journal of Applied Psychology in 2003. But first, a little background. According to the researchers of this article, employee involvement in learning and development is essential for organizational effectiveness and strong financial performance, as well as employee success and satisfaction. Despite the importance of these subjects, according to the researchers in 2003, limited research addressed the variables associated with employee involvement in learning in relation to work. First, it increases the theoretical understanding of the context that facilitates learning, as well as the types of people likely to be involved in workplace learning. This could lead organizations to build stronger learning cultures and also allow learning practitioners to design better programs. First, the researchers formulate a model of involvement in learning and development activity. Then they conduct a literature review that supports that model. And they finally conducted a survey that tested that model. In formulating the model, the researchers pulled from multiple theoretical approaches, including direct measures of attitudes, motivation, self-efficacy, and expectancy theory. The current model integrates multiple theoretical elements from prior research and theory on training and development. The researchers organized their model through various contexts. The first context is that of age. The second context is that of situational support. The third context is that of individual learning preparedness. The fourth context is that of individual careers. The fifth context is of development self-efficacy. The sixth context is that of perceived benefits of development. The seventh context is that of developmental attitudes. The eighth context is that of intentions to participate in development, and the ninth context is actual participation. In the first context, the authors speak of age as both chronological age and perceived age relative to a person's work group. In researching this construct, the authors hypothesized that age would have a negative effect on each of the individual and situational antecedents of motivation for development. The second context of situational support also focuses on two variables, that of work support, in which supervisors, co-workers, and subordinates, and non-work support, which includes family, friends, or others outside of work. The third context of individual learning preparedness focuses on personal variables that enable employees to pursue development of work-related skills. There are 6 variables within this category, the first being prior participation in development activities, learning anxiety, or the amount of anxiety typically experienced when participating in challenging learning experience, perceived intelligence of the employee, also whether employees perceive themselves to possess the general qualities needed for learning and development, also a declining mind. This is particularly important for those of advanced age. And finally, general self-efficacy, or GSE, which is an overall capacity to function effectively. The fourth context focuses on the individual career and covers 3 variables. Career variables that orient towards investing in development of work-related skills. Of the 3 variables, the first is career insight, or an awareness of one's own strengths and weaknesses. 2, the perceived need for development, or a belief that one's skills are in need of improvement. And 3, job involvement, or a tendency to be highly involved in one's work. The fifth context addresses development self-efficacy. This is the belief that one is capable of improving and developing. There are 2 types of self-efficacy. Absolute self-efficacy is the belief that one can improve in competencies in comparison to where they currently are. And relative self-efficacy is the belief that one can improve in skills relative to other people. The sixth context is that of perceived benefits for development. This focuses on the belief that favorable outcomes will result from involvement in development. There are 2 variables addressed in these perceived benefits, those that are extrinsic benefits, or the belief that tangible outcomes such as better pay will produce results, or intrinsic benefits, such as having more interesting work, enjoyment, and a sense of reaching one's own potential. These perceived benefits are influenced by individual learning preparedness, career, and situational supports. The 7th, 8th, and 9th category constructs all focus on behavioral aspects. The 7th construct focuses on developmental attitudes. This refers to feeling favorably toward and having a high interest in development. The perceived benefits of development and self-efficacy for development influence attitudes. The 8th construct focuses on intentions to participate in development. Important in this model is the fact that attitudes affect intentions. The 9th construct focuses on actual participation. Key to this model is the fact that intentions to participate frequently predict actual participation. In putting it all together, employee age influences individual and situational variables, which in turn influence perceived benefits and self-efficacy for development, which influence development attitudes, which influence intentions for development, which predict participations in development. The method for the study is as follows. The study focused on a survey using a broad sample from the U.S. workforce in order to test the model of involvement in learning and development activities. Participants were recruited via phone and paid for the completion of 3 surveys. The surveys were distributed at 3 points in time. The second survey occurred 1 month after the first survey. The third survey occurred 1 year after the second survey. There were some key results that the researchers found from this work. First, this empirical study focused on a formally tested model of employee interest and participation in learning. The model combined elements from prior research and theory and draws on well-established theoretical frameworks. This model is a good way to conceptualize the interplay among age, individual, situational, motivational, and involvement constructs within a broad sample of employees. The authors also focused on the results by specific construct, showing their effect on learning involvement. First, that of age variable. When considering age variables in general, the relationships observed depict older workers as receiving less support for development and generally possessing fewer individual characteristics that should enhance development. When looking at the factor of supporting development, the authors found that when considering the situational antecedent of support for development, both work and non-work situations that are supportive of learning may enhance the perception that development will yield positive results, and this may indirectly influence attitudes and intentions towards organized learning. The learning preparedness constructs had relationships with both self-efficacy and perceived benefits of development participation, and were also indirectly related to involvement. Prior participation was a relatively good predictor of subsequent intentions and participation. If a person is very involved in her career orientation and sees the need for development, this should enhance her development. When thinking of motivation, the researchers found that, in particular, intrinsic benefits led to greater involvement in development than extrinsic benefits. When thinking about attitudes predicting participation, a worker's intent to engage in learning predicts far greater participation. The authors specifically addressed a few limitations in the research design as well as their efforts to address them. First, all data came from survey respondents by the employees participating. The research design attempted to eliminate potential effects from a self-report bias from these surveys. Also, while age was considered a factor, the survey focused on those actively employed, meaning those who had left the workforce, perhaps being forced out because they were not able or willing to learn, are not included in this survey. Practitioners can apply this research in many ways. First of all, the research provides practitioners and researchers with a detailed picture of relationships among key constructs in the area of employee learning and development. The model depicts the characteristics of a person who will likely be involved in organizational learning. In particular, the researchers found that this person is likely someone who has been involved in learning activities before, believes in the need for development in order to develop her own skills. This person will also perceive of herself as possessing learning qualities and has social support at work and outside of work for development. This person is also job involved and has great career insights. Having a learning-involved culture in workforce might help attract and retain good talent, in addition to creating incremental human resource performance improvements as that talent continues. Thank you for your time.